Burning out in cybersecurity is a real thing, and I know it because I'm kind of experiencing it right now. You might have noticed that I'm not really posting as much content on YouTube, and I'm not as active on my channel and responding to comments. And that's a pretty good reason for that. I'll tell you guys all about that in a bit, but I just want to start off by saying that this video is not supposed to be a negative vibe kind of thing. It's more of like what I'm experiencing right now and what I've experienced for the past 3 to 4 years of working in this industry. And I thought I should give you guys some transparency in this career path because I see a lot of people saying that cybersecurity is easy and it's like a 9 to 5 kind of thing where you can just clock in and then 5 o'clock hits and you clock out and then you just enjoy the rest of your day and not worry about work. That's a pretty big misconception. And it's one of the things that's making me feel like I'm getting burned out. So I guess it's only logical that we start with that. So generally, yes, you do work 9 to 5, but there are days where you have to work overtime and there are days where you have to be online for much longer to attend to incidents. Initially, this was quite foreign to me because I came from a background of software engineering and I'm always clock out 9 to 5 exactly on the dot because like there's no overtime, there's no need to stay behind to do things unless there is like a P1 incident where a very critical system has broken down and you have to like go in and fix it, or else someone, like a lot of people are not going to get paid. So that kind of incident is like rare, but it's understandable if you have to do overtime because of that. But cybersecurity is more like you kind of have to be on call. So in cybersecurity, it works a bit differently. Whenever there's an incident, you have to be online and you have to attend to that incident. Now, obviously, it depends on what kind of company you're in. For example, if you're working in an MSP, which is managed service provider, you obviously have to be doing shift work, so your service or your company is providing 24/7 support. My company is not an MSP, so we don't do the 24/7 support as a security team for the rest of the organization. And this is where it gets tricky. So if an incident happens like after hours and you're not there in the office or you're not there on your desk at home, that is kind of difficult. You just have to be like, okay, I'm on my phone, I'm away on my free time, but then suddenly you get messages from work saying like, oh, you have to come back online and start doing investigations and looking through logs on this incident and making sure that we're not compromised and there's no impact from the threat actor. I think this idea of always being on call or always being on standby is kind of like a bit stressing me out subconsciously. Like it's not in my job description or in the contract to have this much availability. And that's the point I'm trying to make. It's like 9 to 5 is just a rough time frame and you might be required to work way longer than that. And obviously it depends on your experience in your role and in your team, because the more senior you are or the more experience you have in investigations, for example, on a particular system, then you have more people relying on you to do those specific investigations. And if you're not there or if you're not available for some reason, then the team kind of struggles with that particular piece of work and it's gonna cascade down the entire investigation process and it's gonna kind of drag along the incident investigation and it's not gonna be good for the entire team and the company as well. And that kind of leads me to my second point of why I'm being burned out, and that's resourcing issue. Now, what do I mean by resourcing? Cybersecurity is a cost center, and what that means is companies spend money on it and they don't expect to make any profit out of it. So if your department is not a cost center, like a software engineering team developing an application, then obviously you're expecting to make profits from whatever they're developing. And because cybersecurity is a cost center, the best way for companies to get profits indirectly is by minimizing the amount of money needed on resources. So for example, the number of people in a team. We always hear companies say that it's very important to stay ahead of threat actors by keeping up with your security, making sure every employee knows not to fall for certain things like phishing attacks, but at the same time they're indirectly contradicting themselves by cutting costs on security and resourcing. So how does that relate back to me? So I'm the only main technical guy in my team for automations and coding and development work, creating Splunk alerts, the dashboards, pretty much a lot of things that the other SOC analyst uses for investigations. But the main problem here is we're trying to increase our security monitoring, so that means creating more alerts and creating more automations. But at the same time, I'm also being pulled away to other things like investigations in this particular area, helping out with this other area, and then doing some stuff in this other area. It's like I'm working on so many different things, and then at the same time I have my own tasks, and then I have to help out with investigations, and those take like half a day or a couple of hours. It's like I'm just jumping all over the place and barely getting any work done, and then every single week I'm just having follow-ups and catch-ups on like the progression of this particular thing. And then it's like I haven't done it because I've got this other thing that's going on, and it's like all over the place. And I find it really annoying because if you're in development, then you have to be focused, you have to keep your head down and just do the work. And if anyone comes in and disrupts you, then your flow just kind of breaks, and you have to like start all over again and be like, okay, where was I? What was I doing? What was I up to? And it's just like constantly happening every single day. Which reminds me of one thing that my manager told me a couple of years ago. He was like, don't worry, Jono. Eventually things will calm down and you'll have time to do your other things. That was like, I think, at least 2 years ago. And since then, it's never calmed down. It's been ramping up. We've been onboarding new solutions. It's always like things happening here, enhancements, integrations. It's just like we're getting so many new things without new resources to do those things. And this is where the bottleneck is happening. And there are many days where I'm just spending an extra hour or so after work, and I'm just trying to cram in on as much of the work that I've missed out. And after work, I'm just exhausted and I don't have the mental capacity for anything else, which is one of the contributing factors to why I'm not posting as much. I'm trying not to rant too much in this video, but the point I'm trying to make here is when you're growing in cybersecurity, be prepared to be pulled into a lot of spaces. So for example, you could be pulled into infrastructure, networking, or policy side of things. Like what your role description is right now doesn't necessarily mean that's gonna be what you'll be doing for the entire time. And that might be a good thing for you initially, but if you keep saying yes to all kinds of work that's being thrown at you, like I kind of did, then you run the risk of burning out because you're just juggling so many things and you're just trying to complete so many things at once, and that ends up getting nothing done. And in my case, I realized I had too many pieces of work and I did call it out and I asked for help, and then it all comes back to the resourcing issue in the team. It's like there's not really anyone else to help out, so it's kind of like a loop, and then you're just stuck in the same bottleneck. Now this video is not all doom and gloom. There are definitely really good upsides to this job that I'm having right now. The number one thing is work from home. Like this is all so flexible. I can just work from my room. I can just make coffee from my home, and then it's just, everything is so convenient. And my team is pretty flexible as well. Like we don't really focus too much on the time on the desk. It's more like, what have you achieved during this time? And if you've done enough meaningful work during your workday, then that's great. And I absolutely love that culture because micromanagement is toxic. And if I ever get in that situation, I would just leave. Anyway, I don't want to keep yapping for too long, and it's getting dark here. And if you guys haven't noticed, I'm filming in a different spot, and I guess it kind of helps with my burnout. I'm gonna try my best to post more videos, and it's almost the new year, so that means that's probably gonna be my New Year's resolution. Thanks for watching.